This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of the new Jedi Order Agents of Chaos 2 Jedi Eclipse. And this is the next novel in the new Jedi Order series, which is honestly incredibly long and takes a while to get through. But it's a solid novel. It helps move the story along just a little bit more, and once again, mainly focuses on Han Solo, although it does have a little more into a few of the other characters that get a little more of a role, because in the last one it mainly focuses on Han and Han only. That's mainly true for this one also. It does have two side stories that are pretty significant, which is one that follows Leia going to the Hapes Consortium to get them to ally against the Vong, and a second that looks at the dealings with the Hutts and really everyone else with the Vong and New Republic. There's also a more minor one where Anakin and Jason Soldo are going and trying to activate Centerpoint Station. Although Jason is kind of against it, it does lead to the ultimate activation of the weapon, which I'll get to later on in the review. But going to the other one, the stuff with Leia is interesting. Although I have not read the Courtship of Princess Leia yet, where Prince Sildor makes his first appearance. I am going to be reading that soon once the audiobook releases in, I think it's like in a month or two. But I still think that it does explain enough if you haven't read that series, or that book, or anything else with Hapes, even if you've read stuff with them that's taking place after this. It does explain everything well enough, and it is definitely some interesting scenes where you see that he definitely still likes Leia, and you can also see the impact of Han not being with her on her, and her just kind of realizing that something just feels off with once they join, and knows a great tragedy would come. And that ties into the thing I'll mention later, which once again I'm going to be mentioning later. Going to this everything with the Hutts, they're trying to play both sides of the war and trying to allow the Vong to be appeased and get some worlds from their space, but also trying to covertly send intelligence to the New Republic. And that is also, that feels pretty hot for them to try and play every side until they, at the end of the story, get exposed for, well, exposing the secrets, and the Vong decide to declare war on the Hutts. But that's expanded more on in the next novel, which I'm about like a third of the way through already. And it's pretty interesting to see everything going on with the war and just how crazy and kind of bad things get for it. I really did think it was pretty interesting to see this war escalating further and further, and it does go to a pretty crazy end with the Battle of Fondor. But before I go to that, which is what I was alluding to earlier, the story with Han is just pretty interesting. He has to go on a bunch of more odd side trips to help out Droma, who is his new ally he made in the previous novel and is starting to kind of fill the role of Chewbacca for him. And it was pretty interesting to see him do all this stuff to, not only honor a debt, but also try and do the right thing where he is clinging to the Falcon all the way black, but also grew a beard and goes and frees really just a lot of droids to go and rescue his ally who is falsely imprisoned because of the extreme, I'm just going to say racism because that's the best term, even though, they're not the same race, against the Rin species. And it is pretty interesting to see also one of the other minor plot lines of this, which is one of the Jedi, I don't remember his name, goes and infiltrates a Vong ship as a prisoner and is with the other Rin, and you get to see into that and him trying to manipulate the Vong, which eventually leads to his death when he isn't able to escape in time, being tortured to near death, and tells Kip Duran to leave him behind and save everyone else. And Han and Droma come across a scam being pulled off by the criminal elements to bring the refugees from one world that is being devastated by the Vong to another one that is about to be devastated by the Vong. So they just create kind of a need for their services, and it is a pretty messed up system that would eventually be exposed, even if Han didn't stumble across it. But it is a pretty heartless thing to do and really messed up. But it is still pretty interesting to see, and honestly, I think that it shows just how, you know, kind of heartless some of the criminals can be. And it was interesting to see, them go and trick the refugees into going to these places and Han going to have to save them, but going to where, as typical in these books, all the stories converge to, which in this one is the Battle of Fondor, and that is one of the shipyard planets, and the Vong make everyone think that they're falling for the trick to be lured to Corellia, where they intend to use Centerpoint Station as a giant interdictor to go and wipe out all of the Vong forces. But they do go for Fondor, and the battle is going poorly with the hyperspace lanes being filled with artificial interdiction mines that are thrown by the Vong, so reinforcements can't easily reach there. And as they just try to do this victory, the uncle of Jason and Anakin, I believe it's Han's brother. It might be by mirrors, I'm not 100% sure, because I haven't read the novel he first appeared in, so I also don't remember the exact details. But he goes and fires Centerpoint Station, going into Leia's fears that she saw through the forest, devastates about 3/4 of the Hapen fleet, and then also destroys a significant part of the Yuzan Vong attack force, forcing them to retreat, but also destroying a bunch of stuff at Fondor, making the battle essentially a loss. Although it is for, PR and stuff, set as a victory and an acceptable loss. But this leads to, mass devastation and just showing the price of victory against the Vong and how devastating it could be. It is pretty devastating, and it's definitely putting impact both on Jason and Anakin, where Jason was able to convince Anakin not to use the weapon, even though Anakin was directly connected to it and could have fired it more precisely, which would not have led to all the destruction. And the impacts to that are mainly brought into the next novel, but it is still something that you would clearly tell two young Jedi would have problems with. But yeah, honestly, it was a really interesting novel. It helps move the plot forward and just show how ruthless the Vaughn could be and how devastating this war is. And we're not even at the craziest part. That's still, I think, like 3 or 4 novels away where things get really bad. But still, I think this is a really great series. I have been enjoying it, and I want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.